Sarah, how are you? It's good to
Wow,
see
the
you
whole
again.
gang. Oh my God.
Welcome to Still Single.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the podcast. Wait, did you just like travel somewhere? You were somewhere over the weekend. It looked really fun.
I was doing a classic Sarah solo adventure. I took myself to Big Bear to ski on Saturday because I couldn't find anyone to go with me. So
Story of my life.
I said, I got to use this Icon Pass. I already bought it. I've only used it 5 times. I got to get my money's worth. If no one's going with, I got to go.
Don't you have like a series? It's like Solo Saturdays or something. Solo
But
Saturday
it's literally
Sendies.
becoming a thing by happenstance. I call them Saturday solo sendies. And so I send it big on a solo trip or like a solo adventure because I can't find anyone to go with me.
I know.
Or they're like such intense day trips that everyone's like, what the fuck? I don't want to do that.
I know
Yeah,
a great guy in LA and another guy who travels for adventure quite a bit.
Jordan
So
is
well,
Jordan
maybe
is
I can
definitely the most
recurring
adventurous.
guest on Still Single.
Yeah, you're gonna be the special recurring guest on Still Single. Well, so Sarah, just a quick like recap of how you and I met. Sarah actually, she has a TikTok. I found her on TikTok. I saw one of your videos, found out that you were sober, found out that you just like were single, and I was just like, I had you on the Single Girl Dad podcast, and then we talked and we connected, and then I was talking with Alex and Jordan, and I was just like, we should have like Sarah on because, correct me if I'm wrong, you're like a year single right now, or like how long have you been single?
I've been single for over 5 years.
What?
We're going on Still Single for life.
Snaps to that. We like that.
I don't know if that's an accomplishment or not. It's just what's happening.
I mean,
What
we're
is?
we're right there with you.
I mean, this podcast is called Still Single.
I know.
What?
Yeah,
What
so I
do
was like, I'm gonna be a
you?
recurring guest on here.
Honestly, come on back. What do you define single as? Has there been like, a dating for a few weeks or months or anything like that in those 5 years?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess I define still single or staying single as not being in a monotonous defined relationship. So I've been going on dates for all those years, just none of them have led to an actual serious
Boyfriend.
yeah, no one
Yeah.
has ever been given the title boyfriend.
Yeah.
Are you waiting for someone else to like DTR, or it just has never gotten to that level of seriousness?
No, I just truly have not even had situationships in the past years. The longest thing I had recently was literally like 2020. I was seeing someone for like 3 months, and then the pandemic hit, and he decided like that was the day he was going to cut it off. And then I honestly took a whole year off of dating because of sobriety. So that is a big year of attribution of why the singleness was happening then. And then since then, last year was really my first foray back into that world. And I learned a lot about myself. Rob and I talked about this in October, but I learned a lot about myself in that year, and then trying to return to the dating pool of all the right and wrong ways to go about it. It was just like the broken brain of dating almost always drunkenly, like always going out and getting drinks as dates, getting drunk, and then having like immediate intimacy or validation through connection of being drunk together, and thinking that that was someone that I actually was connecting with, and thinking that was a person that was right for me, overlooking all of the red flags, or even overlooking all of the just like not connecting points because of the alcohol, making it seem like it was all like, woo. So learning to date again and realizing immediately how quickly I can kind of like determine, oh, like after one date, this isn't actually someone that I'm connecting with or interested in. I feel like they're not interested equally in me. So I can just tell that that's one that I'm going to move on from. So it's simplified dating a lot, dating soberly, but it's also been a little isolating because I don't even have like even like the fun adventure of like a sporadic one night whirlwind romance has kind of disappeared in sobriety. So I used to like live off those to tell the stories to my friends. And I think that was exciting to me for long enough, but those haven't happened in years. So I am now just really leaning into the singleness factor of my life. And I've really stopped the I was just talking about this with a friend over the weekend because they were like, how's your dating life? Like, you haven't given me any fun stories in the past like 3 months. And I was like, that's because I just stopped. Like, there's nothing to share because I stopped pursuing it. 1, for like entertainment, 2, out of feeling lonely, and 3, it was exhausting my time and mental energy that I could be doing on all these other things by just like seeking and seeking and seeking this like missing person.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, something in my brain this past year in 2022 really clicked that it was like, stop, stop seeking and go create, go make, go do all the things that like you've been putting off for the sake of finding a partner. So really in the past 4 to 5 months, I haven't even gone on dates. Like, it's just been nada.
It's really great to hear. I guess it's more reassuring to hear because I've definitely been that person for my friend group to be like, I got to show up with stories of my dating life for all my like coupled up friends. And just, you fall into just like taking on dates and you're like, you know, sometimes you send it of being like, I'm just doing it for the story. Like, I just have to tell this, you know, whatever it is, one side or another. Yeah. So definitely, like, once you realize that you're not even doing it for yourself anymore, that you're doing it for like this outside, like, I'm the storyteller guy of going on crazy dates. And once you can be like, wait, it's not even like filling my cup.
It's a little freeing. And I love so much of what you shared. It's really, there was so much goodness in what you were sharing there. And I know Jordan and I both have shared seasons of life where like you feel like you are that role for your friends, a little bit of like the jester entertainer. And I love what you said too of, you know, and we're not a podcast that says, hey, be sober or don't be sober or any of that, but we are a podcast that says, hey, self-care and look after yourself and know what's best for you. And so, you know, Rob and I are sober. Jordan doesn't really drink. And something you said was when you go on a date, kind of being fooled by, you know, intoxicated intimacy.
Yeah.
And my mind just went, and I'm like, wow, that's so true. But you're on a drug. And so it's like, yeah, maybe you don't actually like this person. And so much of our culture is let's get a wine, let's go to a bar, let's get drinks during a date. And it's so true that you actually don't get an honest feedback of this person.
Yeah. Through the conversation with the friend this weekend who was looking for the stories from me, he was telling me about his own stories and how he's had all these hookups recently. And I was like, I mean, if that's what floats your boat, go for it. Like, you're single, have fun. But how is every single date leading to a hookup? And he goes, well, of course, like, we're both drinking. And I was like, oh God, like, that used to be me. I used to expect every date to honestly end in a hookup when I was drinking, because I was like, it wasn't us, it was the alcohol. Like, it was like an accountability just went out the door because you could just blame it on the drinks and get that quick fun, like, whirlwind romance for a night. And then like move on with your life because soberly you didn't actually connect when you had to text the next day or you never heard from them again or whatever it was. But that night, oh my God, you were deeply in love. Like, there was sparks flying everywhere because you were each 5 glasses of wine deep.
So it reminds me.
Go ahead.
Sorry. It reminds me. So I recently, I was talking to somebody on Instagram that I dated about 2.5 years ago before I got sober. And I basically like just was really happy to hear from her, and she had reached out, and I just said like, hey, you know, I'm in a much better place than I was when we first met, kind of recalling back to how I was pre-sobriety. Yeah. And she responded just being like, hey, you were in the exact spot that you were supposed to be in. I thought nothing bad of you. You were in a great place. And it, first of all, it made me feel good because I was like, oh, maybe I wasn't that bad when I was drinking, but I do remember like the times that we were together and, you know, we did hook up a few times, and it was all about the booze and the hookup. It was very much like, let's go out, let's get a bunch of drinks, let's hook up. And that was dating for me for a while.
And that was like the definition of fun for a while, for sure.
And there's nothing, again, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I just, now that I've graduated into sobriety, I've changed my life, and
I do think that there is some value though, that even if drinking isn't an issue for you, like myself, there have been relationships in the past where I was just like, we only go out and get drunk. Like, I don't know if I can hold a conversation with this person over a coffee or walking, you know, like running errands or doing stuff like that, where it is literally the drug of alcohol that is like, making you have more fun, or it's like, yeah, she does get a little cute when her face gets rosy cheeks because of the booze and like that, whatever it is, or I can look past this issue that I have because I'm 3-4 drinks deep, and like stuff like that, where I think it just perpetuates and sometimes elongates relationships that aren't really a match, and it masks it.
Yeah, and just one other thought, and I think one of us, said, like there's nothing wrong with it, and there isn't anything wrong with it as long as you are happy with it. But I
Right.
think
Sure.
I think all of us have had a moment where, I can only speak for me, but I know these two dudes really well. Had a moment where you wake up and you're like, this actually isn't what I want. So then it's not okay, because then those months after, where we're doing this thing, we're dating in this way, we're drinking, we're having these one night stands, but we know it's not right for us, then it's really not okay. And then it's really wonderful to make that change.
That's the exact thought process that really hit my brain like 2.5 years ago when I got sober. I was just really over the false connection of those like nights out drinking and then waking up so anxious, depressed, and just like really unfulfilled the next day, knowing that like it wasn't going to lead to anything. And I likely didn't even like them myself, let alone like my own self. So really a driving factor of getting sober was how it was affecting my relationships and my love life, for sure. And it's really interesting that I got sober and I honestly expected to find someone in sobriety really quickly. Like I've watched way too many movies where like people go to AA, they fall in love. It's like, I don't know if that's what they consider the 13th step, but like where you meet AA and you like leave with a significant other, like even my own family members were like, have you met anyone in AA yet? And I was like, that is not where I want to pick someone up, let me tell you. And I don't want anyone picking me up in AA, but no, I never met anyone through sobriety. And this dream that like my perfect self was going to come to fruition when I got sober, and my partner would find me immediately because now I was in tip-top shape. I was cleaned up. I'd like stopped the party girl thing. I really thought that a partner was just going to fall into my lap as soon as I got sober. And it was kind of a surprising wake-up call the first year of sobriety to learn like there's still a lot of work to do here. It's not just a magic resolve for all issues. Like sure, it helps bring a lot of clarity, but I still had a lot of just personal things to work on, and how I perceived others, how I perceived myself, how I presented myself to the world. I never had a lack of confidence in dating, even in sobriety. Like I'm very confident when I go into dates. I'm confident to reach out to people and make the first move. It was just like the expectations that I was putting onto other people, and then that still craving that ability to like to control, like the whole thing that ties back with drinking, but like that ability to control people in dating. I was really shocked to see that it was still there in sobriety. So honestly, that first year taking it off of dating was super helpful in like pinpointing where I could actually hold myself accountable. And then last year trying to re-enter the dating scene was like putting methods into practice and just being so unpleasantly surprised how off my game I was, because all of the regular things that I was used to were just gone. And the vulnerability and, oversharing out of trying to connect with people, or putting up guards,
the oversharing. Oh yeah.
Yes. That was like a method to try to connect with people. It's not just a quirky personality trait. And then finally, after like I probably went on 25 first dates last year.
That's a good number, Sarah.
You and I spoke about this, but a lot of them were set up through dating apps at the beginning of the year. And I was treating it like I was treating other parts of my life. I was like, I have accomplished everything I've ever set my mind to. Work, school, titles, awards, whatever. And I've been able to do it. And like, I felt the same way. So I wanted to change my life. I got sober. Oh my God, I did it. I'm checking it off. Like I've checked off all these things, but the one thing I can't check off is like finding a partner, like finding that man that I want in my life. And so I was starting to treat dating like I was treating those other things that I've been able to accomplish. Like just line up all the dates. It's a numbers game. Like just set them up like interviews almost. And one of them will be a hit. And like, that's not how humans work. It is not how humans work. And so dating last year ended up just exhausting me. And by August, September, I ended up deleting the dating apps. I met some people in real life, which was really pleasant, like a very pleasant surprise. I heard you guys talk about that recently. the IRL energy, like going for people that I wouldn't have normally gone for on dating apps. So I was even like open to trying new partners that like I wouldn't have previously gone for on a dating app. And even those fizzled out. Like I was able to quickly be like, this isn't right either. Like it was like the case of, for me, it was like, oh, the porridge was too hot. The porridge was too cold. The porridge was too medium. I'm just going to not have any porridge right now.
Yeah. I mean, Sarah, we definitely, I mean, I can definitely relate. I remember when I got sober when I was in a relationship, and my sponsor had told me like, hey, you know, take the first year off of dating. I was in that relationship for like 9 months of my, you know, first 9 months of sobriety. Then that relationship ended. And just hearing you talk, like there is part of me, and I've already deleted the dating apps. We're, you know, 2023 dating app free. That's what I'm kind of going for. But there's part of me that I'm like, maybe I should just not date at all this year. Like maybe I do need a full cleanse of dating, because I haven't gone an extended period of time without dating. I have gone without dating apps, but not dating. And these guys can attest. I lasted like 13 days last year when I was like, no date September. And it's like, I couldn't do it.
Bro,
So,
you're
How do
born
you
to
even
love.
find that many women to line up? Like by deleting the dating apps, I truly feel like I've like cut myself off to society. Like I still go to all my favorite things. Like obviously I'm putting myself out there. I'm going skiing alone. I like go to coffee shops solo. I do whatever I want alone, and like stay open to like keep the eyes peeled just in case someone walks in.
right.
I haven't even been approached and asked on a date in months. So it's like, it
Okay,
just,
that was
Let's
my
unpack
question though.
this. Let's
Because yeah,
unpack
because that
this.
was my question for that. Because either guys in LA are not approaching it. Because I'd have to imagine that you walk in and you flash that half a smile, even a full smile, and you're telling me that either you're unapproachable or the guys are not approached. Like, where do you find yourself falling in this realm of you have to say no consistently, or you're just like not getting approached at all? Like, how do you handle that?
I've gotten approached, I guess, a couple times, I would say in the past 3 months, a couple times, like once while I was literally waiting to get a water at the bar, and a couple times at the gym. But it is
Man, terrible spots both times. No one at like a coffee shop or something. Like you're out at a bar and it's
don't want asking me out. Like it tends to be much older men, or just guys that are like, you know, like I live with my mom, like up in the Palisades still. Like it would be so sick to like skateboard sometime. Like, no, I don't really want to do that. So I'm just approached by people that I am not interested in. And I have the same question because my guy friends are like, Sarah, what the hell? Like, you're like, from the outside to us, like you're the total package. We're not into you. We swear, like, we're not into you, but like, you're it for us, but not really. Like they always like do the whole spiel. Like we would totally date you, but like, don't want to, no, you don't. And they were like, do you like exude like feminine, sexual, approachable energy? Like when you're out, like at the grocery store. And I was like, why would I be putting out sexual energy at the grocery store? Like, hey, can you pass that bread? No, that's not where, like, friendly energy. Yes, I want to be approachable everywhere, but it's not always in my mind to be like, okay, put on your full face of makeup, do your hair, look good, have the boobs out, just in case he's there. Like, I mainly just go about my life and hope that someone who's interested, who is the right person for me, would want to approach me in like my regular day-to-day and not have to be like out there scoping, being sexy, yada, yada, yada. Like, so I feel like I'm a friendly person and I could talk to a brick wall, for God's sake. So I'm not quite sure on the approachability scale what it means from like a male external perspective. But for mine, I don't know if it's like the current environment of just being like a single millennial in today's 2023 world of like, some guys told me last year, they were like, well, when we have a trillion options in the palm of our hand, like, why would we risk? There's actually a real story that someone told me when I was at Run Club. I was like, why don't you ask blah, blah, blah out? And they were like, well, when I have all these options in the palm of my hand, why would I risk embarrassment or rejection by potentially going up to a woman in real life? Like when I could for sure lock it in online. And I was like, because some of us aren't online. Like you'll never find me online now. So does that mean I'm never going to get asked out? So that's actually a question I have for you guys.
Well,
First of
I
all,
was just
Sarah,
gonna say, go ahead.
go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
No. I like when you started off with that energy, Rob. It's gonna be good. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, Sarah, I haven't met you IRL. I've only met you on TikTok. We've sat down.
Internet friends.
Yeah, we're just internet friends, but like you seem so approachable based on like the videos you put out on TikTok and just like your energy. And I gotta say, I think guys are not only intimidated by a beautiful woman in the wild, but there is that fear of the ego bruise. There's the fear of, oh my God, what's going to happen? What am I going to say? And it's so I just don't want you to think that it's like your energy that you're putting out there. It's not you. It's
I'm not worried that it's me.
And I mean, this comes from, I lived in LA for like 9 years. Jordan lived in LA. Rob lived in LA. Now he's in Pasadena. So I mean this in the best way. LA guys are punks. And I listen,
From experience, would you consider yourself?
I think at that season of life, I kind of was. I was very career focused, but in a I was just tunnel vision on that. And I don't know. I've lived in a bunch of different places. I've lived in Colorado. I'm now in Austin. I grew up in New York, went to school in Philly. And I think the LA sensibility is a very unique one. So I don't know. I don't want to chalk it up to that, but I think if there was ever a city where guys were more intimidated to bruise their ego, it could be Los Angeles, Hollywood, California. But the good news is I actually know a dude. I've known him for a bunch of years. Super funny. He's handsome. He's actually a content creator, a filmmaker. He's a dad as well. Are you open to if someone had a kid?
I've never dated someone with a child.
What if he was 6'3"?
Are you literally talking about Rob?
Correct. Yes, Rob. You've met. Yeah, Rob.
This was not planned, Sarah. I swear to God.
Rob, is this why you invited me on?
Yeah, this is my way of asking you out, Sarah, so that Alex could do it for me. Thanks for making it weird, dude.
You got it, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's great. Jordan, save the moment, please.
Yeah, I the thing that makes me think a lot about it, because I hear or see a lot of content on TikTok that's like guys are afraid to approach girls, and there's so much pressure to that. And I think it goes back to my sentiment, though, is just like you have to know the right moment. Like it cringes me to hear the gym is off limits for me. I don't care if I'm madly in love. I imagine this thing or think this girl is absolutely beautiful. I will not approach anyone at the gym. I feel like that is a sacred space, and to make that awkward and, but coffee shops or anywhere else. And the thing that I was trying to come to is that if you find that person attractive, they can almost say anything that they want. And you just need that intro, and to be really quick of just hey, I noticed you from across the room. I had to say what's up. Here's my number. Can I get your number? Can't just in and out. I don't need to learn everything about you. Maybe there's and even that excitement, would you do you get a rush of excitement when a guy approaches you that you are into, that then is hey, can I get your number? And even if it's in and out and you're whoa, yeah, whoa, that guy was, yes, I hope.
Yeah. But the last time that happened, where it was a guy that I was I had been eyeing, I was oh my God, that man is so hot. I'm just going to turn around and forget that person is there because I can't stop staring. He approached me at the end of a concert and was hey, I saw you dancing. You look like such a fun time. I live in Venice. Where do you live? Yada, yada. Exchange information. He literally hit me up the next day. Lovely to meet you. When can I take you out? It was
great
dream scenario. It just happened that as we got to know each other, we weren't the right connection.
Sure. That happens.
5 to 10 dates, somewhere in the middle there. And it was okay.
Ooh, 5 to 10. Okay.
We gave it a shot, but we never were oh, we're dating. I think we were both still seeing other people, but that was the last time. And that was in August. That was the last time that scenario happened. And I've traveled alone. I went to Portugal. I went to New York solo. And I met men here and there, but none that I was personally interested back in is the issue.
Do you think you have high standards, or do you have high needs or qualities?
High standards for sure. I don't find myself being a needy person. If anything, I'm the opposite. I'm so independent that it's hard for me to picture my life like cohabiting and like intertwined with someone, because I've gotten so used to being solo. Like it's been 5 years of like the most formative stages of my adulthood. And
Would your
so,
friends say you have a type?
yes, yeah.
Go on.
Oh, you want to hear?
Yeah. What would they say? What would you think that they would say?
They all look like a Hemsworth brother. Like they all like athletic, outdoorsy, funny, outgoing, confident, career driven, successful, tall, and they typically are brunette with blue eyes and facial hair.
Jordan, can you come a little bit closer to the screen for a second?
But also understanding of sobriety too is like a thing that's become important in the past couple of years. Like I've met some very attractive men in Los Angeles. Like I feel like this is like the most beautiful people in the world are here, men and women. And some of them are just, there's nothing going on in there, and they just want to party all the time still. And so it's like, ew, well, that's not a match for me either, despite how good looking you are. So TikTok is a really funny place to get into the comments of. And I haven't made content around dating in a little bit because it's kind of just been off my plate. But last year when I was doing this series called Mature Hottie Hotspots, which was like where to meet singles in Los Angeles, the comment sections would just pop off of like, you women, like so accusatory of women being too demanding, to this, to that, like of expecting all these things from men. Like we want to be approached, but you can't come off as creepy, and you can't do this, but you got to do this, and you can't do this, but you got to do that. And men, of course, without profile pictures are the ones commenting like, all women want is status, hotness, and money. And it's like, no, those are things that we do want, but we want like 50 other things on top of it too. So it was just like a discourse that is always happening of men thinking that women are expecting too much, when it's like, yes, we are looking for an attractive partner that, of course, like sexual attraction and chemistry is like critical and so important in a relationship to make it work. But beyond that, we're also looking for like emotional availability, like emotional intelligence, independence, support. Like,
can you talk more about that? What does that look like to you? Like emotional like aware, yeah, and intelligence.
Openness to speaking about their feelings and listening to yours. That is just like one thing that I haven't found in my previous relationships, is like when I share, background struggles or like situation or emotions that are happening that day, it's like, well, let's just go party, or like, let's just go forget about it, or like, whatever, like, let's just stop talking about it. And then when they are upset or they are visibly like angry or going through something, and I'm like, hey, like, let's talk about this, they're like in denial that it's happening. But also that was in my much younger years. The person, like the scenario that I'm referring to now, and I'm now dating older people that I would expect to be more emotionally available. But it kind of can look like a broad spectrum of things, but those are the things that come to mind for me, is just like vulnerability, openness to talking about and sharing of their feelings and needs, and then receiving them from yourself as well. I like the person that I was going on those dates with after the concert in this past summer. It was like, after the initial like fun content conversation of those first couple dates of like, your background, what you do for work, what do you find funny, what kind of music you listen to, the first date questions. It was like, I'd love to talk, like, what do you really want for yourself? What do your hopes and dreams look like? Like, what are your thoughts on kids? Like, obviously not in the first dates, but like, what are things that you like picture for yourself? And like, what do you like about this? What do you not like about that? And every single answer was, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Sounds
know.
like
you are
not a very complex dude.
So
I wanted to ask you, Sarah, in terms of like expectations, like I know that, or I guess this is a stereotype, but I've heard that like women have like expectations of themselves at a certain age. And have you found any pressure from like your friends getting married or settling down or having kids? Like, do you feel pressure that you need to like take that next step in your life, or are you more on like just accepting your journey and your path?
Incredible question, because I feel like it changes by the day. I will say that as a woman, I think the pressure definitely was felt from like as soon as graduating from college. I went to a Southern school where sorority women, like my sorority sisters and people that I knew from college, were engaged by that summer. Like it was the full ring by spring was truly a thing. But I knew from like junior year of college that I wanted to leave the South and get out of that mindset. So I went to New York. But it's been like the past 2 years where it was people that I knew that I was partying with in New York that I knew were like used to define themselves as like the career women that I like aspired to kind of run peers with. They're the ones now getting married and having babies. And I'm like, whoa, that's weird. Like everyone is like, it's inevitable. And I luckily have an older sister who is also single. She's 2 years older than me, and she has kind of paved the way for not what I want my exact single life to look like, but just with the acceptance and the peace and okayness with it. And so our mom stopped harping on us, I would say about 2 or 3 years ago, of like, when are you going to give me grandkids? Like she kind of finally abandoned that dream after me and my sister really laid down the law that it was like, we are not purposefully avoiding finding love. Like we are not purposely avoiding finding a partner. We are not dodging it. We are not crossing love out of our lives and swearing it off. Like we're not even cynical about dating anymore. It just hasn't happened for us. And so the weird pressure that like to be a woman, to be successful, you do have to get married, have a baby, and get the house. Like it was a pressure that I really felt, I would say most significantly the past 3 years. And this November, what I was sharing with you guys earlier in this conversation of like finally feeling this relief of like, stop hunting to fill that role. Like stop thinking that you have to fill this role. Like it's just been a huge relief, honestly. I don't know if it was just like a maturity point or I just finally was fed up with dating. Like it wasn't necessarily like an angry or like a certain scenario. It's just a mindset and like recognition that I've had of myself in the past 3 months that I've stopped seeking so intensely. And I don't know if a part of that is because I've never been super driven to have children. Like I've never found myself super maternal. So I don't feel that like biological clock need to have a baby right now. I think I'm open to having children with someone who I would want to co-parent with and like create a beautiful family with, but I'm not out there looking for a partner to have babies with, which I do know a lot of women do have baby fever. They want the baby, like their like bodies are literally craving like having a child. Like they're looking for a partner to have a baby with. And that's great. That's their journey. But I'm really in this mindset with my older sister. Like we just were talking over Christmas time where we were like, we truly think that some people, like their journeys, their life's purpose is to be a part of a family unit and to reproduce. Like that is just part of their journey because that was in their calling. Like that is in their life's cards, essentially. And for some other people, it's just not, and it's okay. Like, I'm so grateful to know that I have the capability to still get married and still be open to love and still have a family and children. But I'm also starting to be open to the mindset that it's okay if those things don't happen for me. What does life look like without those? And so that is like what these past 3 months have really been exploring for myself, at least, is like when I relieved myself of that mental restraint and like burden of like, find the partner. Where do we find the partner? It's like, in the past 3 months, I've realized I love content creation. I love making TikToks. I love making people laugh. I love entertaining people. And like my lifelong dream that I've had since like I was a teenager is to be a TV host. And for all of college and like young adulthood in New York City, I was like, no, that's not realistic. They won't have a 401k. And it's just not a realistic life plan. Like a realistic life plan is having a secure office job with all the nice, secure things, and then finding that partner, getting married, and being a housewife and being a good mother. Like that is the plan. That just is the safest, most secure, beautiful life I could imagine. And as I've gotten older, and even just in these past few months, it's really opened up my mind to the fact that my beautiful life could look like actually becoming a TV host. My beautiful life could look like working abroad from different hostels, which is what I did in October. And it was so much fun. And I remember before that trip, I thought, oh my God, I'm 29. I'm too old to be staying in a hostel. And I got to the hostel and there was people in their 30s and 40s there traveling and, you know, having these beautiful worldly experiences. And it's just been like the past few months of just this great, beautiful acceptance of like life can also be beautiful and okay and fulfilling. without that perfect journey of the husband, the kids, me playing wife and having the house, like even looking at trying to buy a house alone, like as a single person in the past few months, I also explored that because I was like, I could do this solo. No, I can't. And so even that dream of like, well, at least I'll have the house and maybe a dog, like even the house is now starting to kind of dissipate and be like, well, it's okay if I keep renting. Like life just evolves as you figure out what's realistic, and you have to grapple with being okay with it so that you don't live in constant resentment. And that I feel like I could attribute to sobriety and like working through some of that like need to control and need to have things perfect of like getting sober and being able to let it go. And I'm just really grateful that all those things have culminated in my life to get me to this point of feeling this like peacefulness right now.
Hostels are the way to go, first and foremost. Like when traveling abroad, to meet and more people, I highly recommend it, especially if you're traveling alone. But yes, thank you for that. That was very insightful to like make peace with it. And I do think that you having that conversation with your mom, with your sister, of just like, we're not doing this in spite of you. We're not, pushing off this thing that we want it as much as you do. And hearing it from you doesn't make it easier. It doesn't have someone come to my door with flowers who I'm like, yes, they check all the boxes. Yeah. Alex, go ahead.
No, I love that, Jordan. I think there's, something really powerful you said, which is society, our upbringing, powerful voices in our lives, like family. We can fall into the trap of viewing it like lack. Oh, there's a deficiency. Oh, I'm not married. I'm not having kids. So that's like from a lack place. And what I think is really cool about how you're viewing it is, rather than a place of deficit, it's a place of empowerment. You're like, well, look at all this energy I have to pursue this dream that I've had my whole life. And so it's a much more exciting way of like honoring yourself, rather than viewing, oh my gosh, I thought the life would look like this. It's like, well, hold on. Here's all these other opportunities and cool things that can now happen.
Yeah. I'm reading this book right now called The Unexpected Joy of Being Single. And it's the same author that wrote a book called The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober. And it's written from a female perspective. So to any lady listeners who are grappling with this, it might be a good read, but she really goes on to portray that like through all of history and society, like historically, women who stay single are like looked down upon. We get pity. We get like, oh, poor, what do they call them? Not swingers. When women are alone, like past a certain age, we get nicknames, and like we're just spinsters. Yes, we're called spinsters. And
cougars?
Like this. No. That's when older women are looking for love with younger men. But there's just this overarching constant thread of plot that women are like failures or looked down upon and receive all this pity and sadness if they stay single for their whole lives. Where like men, it's like, well, he's just a badass bachelor doing his thing. He's just probably super busy with his career, like rock on. He's a rock star. But women, it's like, what did she do wrong?
Have you seen any of the memes about being like that cool aunt? Have you gotten into that where you're like, that could be me?
That could be me. But knowing that my older sister, who's also single, has no plans to get married and have kids soon, we're both just going to be cool single women. We're not even going to be the aunt role.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because like Sarah, we've already, you and I have spoken before, but we didn't really talk about dating when we last talked, but like when I didn't know that you've been single for 5 years. And when you said that, when you first got on here, there was this reaction of like, ooh, like, oh, I'm so sorry almost. And it's like, I didn't even know why that happened. Like but that was my initial reaction. I was just like, oh, I'm so sorry. And like, now I'm 14, 15 months single. Like I haven't had a girlfriend since my ex. And like, this is the first time in my life where I've really been single. And I have been operating from this place of like, I don't know, like I'm lesser than, or like I'm jealous of all my friends with their wives. And granted, I have a bit of a nuanced story since I'm widowed, but it's like, I'm hearing you and I'm getting inspired to just be fucking single. Like I'm hearing you and I'm just saying like it's okay to like go after the thing. Like for me, it's like I always wanted to win an Academy Award. I want to be this like famous actor, right? And for 10 years, basically every year since I've graduated from school, I haven't really gone after it because I've just been too afraid, right? And this year and last year, I've really just said, fuck it. Like I'm just gonna go for it and do the thing. And it's interesting because you've said now like you've removed dating or ish, like maybe you're still dating but you've removed it somewhat, and you've created all this space to now like go after like a real dream of yours, which is like to be a TV host. And
Yeah.
I just
I'm still open to dating. I just have deprioritized it.
There's something that I want to bring up that's kind of been a butting heads issue between Rob and I are very different when it comes to first dates. And you had mentioned about like life goals and things like that. And you're like, but not on a first date, not on a first date. And where we differentiate is that I go with very just like bantery, like non-serious questions for most of the first date, and Rob connects on a very deep level usually.
I'm always asking like, do you want to have kids? How many kids do you want to have? Like I get into it really just right at the top.
And I ask questions like, what are your 3 favorite fruits? So where do you stand? I want to give you a little like credit on being like, well, not on the first date, but maybe you do want that now in your dating life. Like from a female perspective, like how intense of conversation are you looking for in the first go around?
Oh, I feel like it totally depends on the connection between the two people. If it is a blind date where you truly do not know anything about each other, it might be best to start with the witty banter. Just like, do you have the same sense of humor? Do you at least have some interests in common before you get into that like more serious play? But if you've already met at a party, for example, and you already know each other off the bat, you know that there's an attraction there, and maybe you already started like some pretty good conversation at that first encounter, then I think the serious questions might just flow pretty naturally if you were going on a first date with that person that you've already met. So I totally think it's a person by person basis, date by date basis. I myself recoiled when I said, do you want kids on the first date? Because I do think that that's an intense question to ask on the first date for myself, at least. But I like a light mix of starting with, the witty banter. Is there a spark here? Is there a connection? Do we even want to stay for a second drink, or do we want to order food? Or is this truly so painful that we got to go? Like, let's cut it off at what kind of dog do you have? But if it's conversation's flowing and you feel that like chemistry is actually connecting, and the conversation moves into like, well, this is like the greatest fear I've always had, and like I've never been able to overcome it. Have you ever experienced anything like that? Like, this is a problem that I'm having with my
sounds
family.
so much more fun.
Like
that question sounds so much more fun. Yeah.
That is like a beautiful way to just build a strong connection off the bat. So I think no question is off limits to me, but it totally is a person by person, date by date basis.
One of my friends, I was like, yeah, I've been going on the dates. They're going okay. And he's like, yeah, man. I'm like, the chemistry is like, yeah, there's good chemistry, like I'm just kind of reviewing the date. Like, yeah, it's good chemistry. I guess we hit it off. And he goes, Rob, you're a chemist. Like, of course there's good chemistry. And that's gotten in my head a little bit where I'm like, wait, am I just like making these dates better than they are? And in hopes of them actually being a connection and really hitting it off. And hearing you say about like going on those dates that you're like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. Like, have you ever had any like sneak into the bathroom, call your best friend and be like, this guy is terrible, like help?
Yeah. Yes, I have. and it was dating app dates, a couple that I can think of. And I met a celebrity matchmaker here in Los Angeles at a party, and she was like, I'm going to set you up. My clientele is amazing. You will love them, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, sure. Like she matches celebrities with people. Like she was like, I'm not going to match you with a celebrity, but like, I know how to work with these types of people, blah, blah, blah. It was like one of the worst dates of my life. It was
Wow.
Horrible. And he was someone who within like the first 15 minutes, he was like, do you want another drink or no? Like, it was very clear that it was like, neither of us want to be here anymore. So let's wrap it up.
But did she just not get enough information from you to know what you're compatible? Like, obviously, I would have to imagine that a matchmaker gets background information on both people as opposed to just like looking at you and being like, oh, you're beautiful. I'm going to set you up with one of the guys that I have. Like, you match his.
I unfortunately think that it was, I mean, the men were hiring this matchmaker to find them dates. Like, it's the paying client who's going to get his preferences. So if he wanted cute blonde West Side LA outdoorsy, like, she was like, oh, that's perfect. Like, there you go. Like, so there was, I don't think any of my needs were taken into consideration despite the interview, because I wasn't on the paying side. So that's just something that I now know to avoid in the future. It's not for me. But there's definitely been dating app dates too, where like they show up and just don't even know how to say hi, like just don't even know how to ask a single question. So then it's me literally, like Rob the chemist, like it's me literally being Sarah the TV host, like moderator, like tell me about a time that you went to school and had fun, like whatever. I don't even know what I'm asking them.
So you brought that up, and you brought up the fear thing. Do you have like a set list of questions that you ask on a first date, like in case things?
I actually went on a super interesting experience. So I do commercials here in Los Angeles, like a side hustle. And so I'm out in the casting world, just like seeing what is getting casted. And I ran across a thing where a friend who was with the production company was looking for singles to be part of a dating documentary. And I was going to get paid. And I was like, if anyone is a pro at dating professionally, I got this. And so I submitted myself. I got the part. I was put on this show, but I think it's just going to be like a little YouTube short, but it's asking the 36 questions to fall in love from the New York Times Modern Love column. And the 36 questions are so good. And I'm not going to say that, yes, you'll fall in love, but they are really thought-provoking, and they create intimacy and a place to be vulnerable immediately. And so some of the questions that I've actually used as examples are from that. It's like about your fears, about your hopes, about your deepest connections that you currently have. And then it reiterates the need and the importance on a date to affirm positive things about the other person. Because I think especially in 2023, when we're all on social media, seeing all these stories about bad dates and hearing everyone complain about dating, like it's quick to get in your head on a date to be like, oh, this guy is not as hot as I thought he was going to be. He's already made like weird comments about his family, like his socks don't match his outfit. Like you pick people apart to insist that it's not the right choice for you as like a self-protection mechanism. And there's like questions lined up in the 36 questions to make you list out 5 things out loud to your partner that you're sitting there with, aka like your date, and say like 5 things that you like about them already, or like, and it's just like a practice that would actually be great to incorporate into a regular date, not a documentary with questions that are forced to be asked by note cards, but on a date being like, I love how much you said that you like how much time you spend with your dog. Like, that's really cool that you have such a strong connection to animals. Like, that is also something I really like. Tell me about another thing. Like, it just is a way to find those connection points and remind yourself that there are things that you like about this person. That is a reason to maybe give this person a second chance on a date, rather than to be like, eh.
Very cool.
Yeah, it feels like dating is almost for content for a lot of people at this point. Like it's not, it's like, unless and I think people are going about it the wrong way, where you're either my husband in the first 10 seconds and I'll know that feeling, I'll just know, or you're not. And then I'm going to create some content around it and be done with it.
Yeah. Or you're not, and I'm going to put you on blast for not being the exact thing that I wanted. And it's like, just let it go. Just let it go.
So Sarah, when this episode comes out, we will officially be in February, and February is all about Valentine's Day. Woo! Speaking as someone who is gonna be single on Valentine's Day, and I'm talking about myself, and I guess you might be too, unless you meet somebody in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. How help our audience, because a lot of them are female, like, how can we get through Valentine's Day single and feeling good about ourselves?
Buy tickets to a comedy show right now. Like, I love going to comedy shows on Valentine's Day. I love it.
Okay.
And sit in the back, right?
Yeah. No, honestly, like to make it more exciting, sit near the front, get picked on, like make it a fun adventure to do. Yeah, I would say definitely comedy show is one of my favorite things. I think there's this culture now that, it was like the Parks and Rec episode, like it's all over the internet, like Valentine's Day, like make it the girls' night, like girls' night out. Have a girls' night. Like that's so fun. That's fine. Like Valentine's is about celebrating love. It doesn't have to be romantic sexual love. It can be friendship love and family love and just pouring out love and showing love to people that may need a reminder that you love them that day. So make plans that make you feel love and make the people that you actually do love that are in your life already feel loved as well. So those would be two suggestions for ladies on Valentine's Day if they're single, not to wallow in it.
Great advice. Yeah, I
Yeah,
already asked my daughter. I'm like, will you be my Valentine? And she's like, yeah, Dad. Okay.
How old is she now?
She's 5.5. She's so cute.
Does she have to do Valentine's is she in kindergarten?
She's in kindergarten and they're all doing Valentine's Day. And okay, so she's got this little cute purse that her grandma got her. And in her purse, she's got a little notepad and some pens because she likes to journal and draw. And on the first page, there's like a picture of her, like a little girl, and then like a stick figure guy or boy or something. And I'm like, oh, that's sweet. Like, is that you and me, Leia? And she's like, no, that's me and Camden. And I'm like, Camden? She's like, yeah, that's like her boyfriend from preschool. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, I'm so happy for you guys.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, the pressure to already have a crush as a kindergartner.
It's insane. It starts so soon. I remember my crushes in kindergarten. Like they're obviously non-sexual crushes,
I could
but
name drop my crushes from like kindergarten to 5th grade at least.
yeah.
I'm very curious for you single men. Does Valentine's Day even cross your radar? Like, do you even care about it?
100%. I'm counting down the days. I'm basically like another Valentine's Day alone, Rob. Here we go.
Are you that intense with it?
You get really sentimental about it.
I get really sentimental. Guys, I've had like a girlfriend or significant other since I was 15. Like I've only spent maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 Valentine's Days in my life without a partner. I get very sentimental about it. And like, I don't know why.
What does that day represent to you that like you wouldn't have on, or like that you don't feel on other days?
I guess there's just this like devotion to me sentimentality of that holiday. Like there's a person, a significant other being like, you're my love and I'm your love. And I think Valentine's Day has just always been like a celebration of love, just like you said, but it's been romantic love for me.
Mm-hmm.
And on those years where I haven't had it, it's been hard.
I feel like you have definitely a unique scenario for Valentine's Day of have felt that romantic love on that day.
Yeah,
for sure.
So my plan is I'm going to either be with Jordan and Alex doing a live show, or I'll be doing a TikTok live and just taking Valentine's Day with all my followers. Yeah, 24 hours.
24 hours day. What are you other boys doing for Valentine's Day? Or does it even cross your radar?
Well, Alex is in a relationship.
Oh, sorry. Didn't know that.
Yeah, they haven't kicked me off the podcast yet.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
I don't know. You're really good at this, Sarah. I might get bumped now.
Get out of here.
I have planned something. I mean, I don't listen, like I'm even thinking back to my single days, like it's such a put on thing, right? Just like picking a day on the calendar and then just like making it into this pressurized holiday, the Valentine's Day. But I think aside from that, it can be just like a fun occasion to be thoughtful or show effort or really share in a fun experience. So I have planned a fun experience.
Sweet.
It's a surprise, so we can't hear it.
So that the date won't learn about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all right. I'll say it's listening for 24 hours to Rob's live stream.
There we go. Nothing more romantic.
I'm gonna dress up. Jordan, what about you? Are you getting excited for Valentine's Day? Is it even on your radar?
I mean, it is on my radar. I think in the past, if I've been like talking to someone, I probably like psych myself out around it and be like, this is a very important, like this needs to be this this showcase, or a little like self-sabotaging of like, do I really feel this way about this person? And this puts a like definitive date on a pressurized, like, do I feel this way? That is some outside pressure. I'm not dating anyone seriously right now to like do anything for it. And I think like I've spent more Valentine's days single than not, in counter to Rob. So like it's one of those things that I just feel like it's a little like hallmarky, and but a good excuse to do something a little above and beyond, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't think I've ever felt that way, or I've allowed the outside pressure to play a bigger factor, as opposed to just thinking like, this is just another day, put in some effort, send some flowers, cook some dinner. Like, it doesn't need to be this like the way that I think social media sometimes plays into it, where it's like, you have to get them a new car, you have to plan this trip, like like how big of a jewelry and how many carats does it, like shit like that I think sometimes
America made it like a capitalism play, but
100%.
Yeah, what holiday haven't we?
Exactly, everything's capitalism now.
But
that's a whole different pod to jump down.
Like, isn't it an old like religious saint tradition of like showing love, of like,
I don't even know the history of Valentine's Day.
Saint Valentine's
Day. It was a saint. It was like I want to say like a Catholic situation. So
it was a Christian feast day honoring one or two early Christian martyrs named Saint Valentine, and through later folk traditions has become a significant cultural, religious, and commercial celebration of romance and love in many regions of the world.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Saint Valentine.
So maybe we should all just feast and go back to the roots of the
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like more like Thanksgiving.
Hell yeah. Well, Sarah, this has been amazing. Like, again, thank you so much for coming on. I do want to give you like a final thought here and kind of give you
I fumbled the bag last time with the final thought.
No, you didn't. You didn't fumble at all. I think just like we're really grateful to have you on and to have your perspective. We also have this shared experience of sobriety, which like I just feel like brings us closer to you. And I just want to give you the floor for like a final thought for all of our listeners who are most are single, some are not single, and just take it away for us.
My main thing that I want to share today kind of loops back to what we started the conversation with like these solo sendy days. As a female, men too, any singles right now, like, don't wait for a partner to do the things that you love. That's what I've just learned and like really honed in on in the past few months. If you are interested in a hobby, if you have a dream career, if you have a weird little niche interest, like, just go and do it while there's no one restricting you or holding you back, or that you have to consider. Like, while you have all of this time to dedicate to yourself, lean into it and go do the things that you are scared of, that you've wanted to do, that you're interested in, that you have the time and mental energy to put towards the thing. Like, just use that, like whoever was talking, sorry, I forgot who mentioned this, but like the concept of when you're in a relationship, like that scarcity mindset, like I don't have enough time, or like it's too scary or it's too risky because I can't put my partner at risk by taking this big jump, or, I have to put their needs first because they don't like to ski, so I'm not going to plan a ski trip. Like, while you have all of this plethora of time and energy for yourself, while you're single, go do the things and enjoy it and like thrive in it while you can. Because if a partner eventually does come in, that free time to yourself and that time that you can dedicate to those interests is going to look different. It's going to change. It's going to adapt and evolve to consider the needs and wants of your partner. So just lean into it. Solo send it.
Snaps, Sarah. Sarah snaps.
Wow. This has been so nice, Sarah. I guess I don't know. I feel inspired. I am honestly, leading up to this interview, I was like, dude, you're going to go a year just single and not date. And I know I've said it before, and these guys are like, he's said it before. But I don't know, you've kind of just inspired. Like, I do think in my sober journey, and just for me as a man, like having a full year would be good under my belt. So
it's not even something that you have to like strive for. Just be open to it. Like, just be
Right.
open. Like, if a partner doesn't cross paths with me soon, it's not that I failed. It's just not the right time, or like it's just not.
Weber, what are you gonna say, dude?
Let's go a week, big guy.
One day at a time.
Yeah, ODAT. Just ODAT this.
Just own it. All right, one day at a time. Well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you for
Thank you,
joining us
guys.
on
Thanks
Still
so much for
Single.
inviting me back. This is so fun.
How can we support you? How can our listeners support you and follow you on social?
I would just say mainly TikTok. I really don't post much on Instagram. Sorry for anyone who's only on Instagram and not on TikTok. But my TikTok is Plantz. That's SPLANTZZ. I am finally wrapping up Dry January content, so you don't have to worry about me trying to show you non-alcoholic drinks for the next upcoming months. That was this past month's series. But
honestly, some of those looked absolutely delicious.
they were fun to make. Like, I did a lot of skits. I did a lot of reviews. I've tried over 31 non-alcoholic drinks this past month and made content about it. But Splants on TikTok, I post about my solo sends. I post about singleness, sobriety for sure, single, solo, sober, sendy content.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you for joining us on
Thank you guys.
today's episode.
Yeah.
It was nice to virtually meet everyone, and Rob, to see you again.
I'm sure we'll see each other soon. I'll text you next time I go to the new bar.
Yeah, why don't we record in person?
At the new bar. That's a plan.
I'm actually meeting up with someone from the new bar today, so
Oh my God, I'm free tonight.
It's happening. It's happening.
I'm free tonight. I'm platonically free. I'm just saying,
They're
like
having
it's
they're having an end of Dry January party tomorrow night. You should go.
okay. That I will definitely go at the new bar.
Yeah.
So you all are set for tonight and tomorrow. This is perfect.
Tomorrow for sure. Tonight will be fateful. Crossing of paths. We're gonna leave it
All
up
right.
to
All right.
Leave it up to the gods. Awesome, Sarah. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you
and,
guys. Thanks so much.
talk
Have a
to
good
you
rest
soon.
of your week.
You too.
Bye.